Are you tired of the non-stop hustle and grind? Welcome to Life in Business, the podcast for business owners who want success without sacrificing life. I'm Libby Langley, your host, award-winning no BS straight-talking business coach, Amazon best-selling author, and the queen of easy business. Join me to learn simple and practical strategies for growing your business, your profits, and your confidence, and for having fun too. Here's this week's episode. Hello, welcome to Life in Business. I'm Libby Langley, your host, and as ever, I'm delighted to be here with you. So thank you very much for joining me. Ooh, we've got a juicy one for you today. There is no way of kind of sugarcoating this, that sometimes things are a bit tough in business. Sometimes things are just hard, right? Sometimes things are just challenging. And that's just the way it is, okay? It's nothing to do with anything necessarily. It's not, there may be no reason for it. It's just life, right? Sometimes life is easier than others. Sometimes business is easier than others. And that is all okay. Okay, first up, just wanted to get that cleared up. So, I'm going to be talking today about tackling these challenging business times because it would be really remiss of me to not kind of address that. You know, this whole podcast is about life in business, hence the name. It's all about life in business, and that's about growth strategies. Yeah, absolutely. That's about making more money, more profit, and working fewer hours. Yes, absolutely. But it's also about it's also about the reality of being in business and the kind of mindset and emotional stuff that goes with that. You know, I like to think it's multifaceted. And I guess that's kind of like matches me and the support and guidance that I give to people is that it's not just about the numbers on the page. That's, oh my goodness, that's enormous. But if it doesn't feel right for you, then that's kind of other stuff that needs to be brought into the mix. And that's other stuff that needs to be addressed. And it's all okay. It's all okay. It's all part of the wonderful, wonderful life in business the journey that we all go on. But I'm not going to try and be too negative today. Really, my goal is to give you positive support and positive guidance for if and when times are kind of tough, yeah? And I know that, let's talk about the last 4 years then, shall we? Over the last 4 years, it's been a funny old time, you know. We've had a pandemic. What was that all about? Which threw more curveballs than I think anyone ever knew was possible in the world of curveballs. But we survived that, right? So here we are. You know, a lot of people started businesses during the pandemic. A lot of us just kind of pivoted or pretty much carried on as normal. And some people closed one, started another, you know, and had this kind of tough time, but also this rich learning experience for which I think we should always be grateful, you know. I mean, I'm not saying when you're in the pits of despair, lying crying on the floor, you go, this is a wonderful learning experience. You know, let's not kid ourselves here. Sometimes things are just awful. But if you can look back and reflect and know what you've learned from it and how much stronger you are as a result, then that makes you an absolutely incredible person and a wonderful business owner, right? We always need to kind of learn from the stuff that we do. So, what do we kind of do? How do we tackle these challenging business times that are absolutely going to come our way? Well, now, I think it's probably worth me telling you about some of my hardest times in business, actually, first. And I've had quite a lot. You know, I mean, I've been in business for 12 years, and that in itself, that longevity just brings about an assortment of different challenges. I've had personal challenges. I mean, my first member of staff, it didn't really work out. And thankfully, we parted ways amicably she suggested that she didn't much like the driving, and I was that because she drove about 40 minutes to where my office was at the time. And so thankfully that was kind of the out, right? To end that relationship. I've had, oh, blimey, well, I mean, I got divorced. That was quite a biggie. I found it very, very expensive to maintain the house that I bought my ex out of, and ended up downsizing to a much smaller house. That was a conscious business and personal financial decision that I made, but it was really, really tough. Really tough. You kind of shiny faced, smiley on the outside, but when you're doing your work and doing your public face. But yeah, these times are tough, man. There's no two ways about it. I don't care how amicable a divorce is, it's really difficult. So yeah, so those are kind of fun times that I've gone through. I've had launches that have failed. I've had months where I've not brought enough in to the business. And those are all kind of realities of the ups and downs of business. But I've got through them all. And I'm here now. And November 2023 was my best month for a long time. And October 2023 was my best month, also for a long time, right? So it all kind of comes round and it all kind of comes good. And certainly this year, there have been some really challenging times, which is why I share about October and November 2023 for me, because I didn't, I've had months where I've not earned as much this year because I've had some really difficult personal stuff going on, which has meant that I've stepped right back from my business. When I got diagnosed with autism in, I don't know, whenever it was, April or so, 2023, absolutely knocked me for six, right? I knew I had ADHD, and you see that was a moment of just ADHDism because my mind had gone off in a different direction while I was talking. But I, kind of suspected for the last couple of years or so that I had ADHD, and so that was fine. And I was looking to get a diagnosis for that just to kind of, clarify it, whatever. But then, nope, autism. So that's, it absolutely knocked me for six and kind of, I don't know, changed the way that I thought about life. Made it a lot easier in some ways, absolutely, because I've got this clearer understanding of myself and how I operate and why I'm really good at some things, incredible at some things, and why I struggle with other things. Why I like things the way I like them, and how I work and how I operate and how I live my life. So all of that's been really, really useful. However, it was probably the biggest personal curveball that I've had in my life. Absolutely, utterly derailed me. I knew that I could tell that I was in burnout, and I went on a kind of understanding your autism course, I suppose. I did a 5-week program with someone. And when we were in the session when we were talking about burnout, I realized I was in level 4 out of 5 burnout, which is not good. Okay. And that I'd been living quite a lot of my life in level 1. This is just how level 1 burnout was kind of how I'd been living stuff. So I knew something really serious needed to happen. And so I took a step back. I took time off. I adjusted the way that I worked with people, and all my current clients came to a natural end during that kind of, I suppose, 3-month period that I was going through this. That's a challenging business time, right? Part of it was conscious to change the direction and change the kind of the way that I worked with clients. That absolutely was conscious. And to have this time out was conscious. But kind of consciously deciding to start from scratch again is really exciting. But blimey, I mean, that's a challenge, right? So this has been my 2023. And I'm going to do an episode. I will round off the year with an episode about what's worked and what hasn't for me in 2023. So tune in for that one in a week's time. Next week it will be, actually. So tune into that one, because I think that'll be quite interesting and give you some lessons there. But what about these kind of challenging times that just happen? Yeah. There are a lot of it is kind of to do with how we feel, I think, as much as anything. And I know for me that I get to the point sometimes where I feel absolutely overwhelmed and like my brain is going to explode, and even the smallest task feels really difficult. And I have support for that. Yeah, I have EFT tapping coaching for that, and that really helps me enormously to kind of keep everything in place. So there is support that you can access. Obviously there's things like business coaching, right, which can keep you on the straight and narrow and help you build a growth strategy or a challenging time exiting plan. It's kind of thing us coaches can do. But just one simple thing, right, is kind of knowing that there will be tough times, and that there will be big hard times, and there will be small hard times. There will also be real hard times, and there will be perceived hard times. And in this year, there's been, the real hard times and the perceived hard times have both been apparent with the cost of living crisis. Now, some people have been absolutely horrendous times affected by this, and some people haven't, right? Or not particularly. And there's still been spending and there's still been growth. And whilst it's awful for people, food banks are at the highest level of people accessing them and all of that, but there's support that we can give, right? We can support doing that. But my point here is that because the media talks about the fact that we're all going to lose, we're all going to lose our houses and have all our electricity and gas cut off by the end of the month, that gets ingrained and we start to believe that. But it's not true. It's not true. It's true for a very small percentage of the population, and that's just awful. But it's not true for a lot of people. And so this kind of perceived challenging time can affect your marketing, can kind of skew where you are in your business. So whatever challenging time you think that you're going through, is it a real challenging time you're going through that actually categorically you have empirical evidence it's affecting you, and it's affecting you to the point of it being really difficult? Or is it just something that feels like it's in the air, right? But actually you're doing okay. Yeah. And there's zero judgment on any of this. It's about understanding exactly kind of where you are and your positioning with things. So the difference between big hard things, like selling your house because it's become too expensive to pay for, and small hard things like you've got too much going on in your head and you, no matter how hard you try, you can't get anything done, right? They're both challenging, but they're at different ends of the scale. So know that this will happen, right? Know that there will be both. Know that there will be both in life and in business, and just kind of accept that as a rite of passage. There's, that it is what it is, right? It's just a fact that this stuff will happen. So there's never any judgment. There's never any opinion to kind of have on it, really. It's just a thing, which I think immediately neutralizes stuff to a certain extent. If you take the emotion and the I don't know, like any blame or any fault out of things, it makes it much easier to deal with. And once you've neutralized it like that, then you can do something about it. And it's the doing something about it, the practical action steps that will help you get out of these situations. And also sometimes you need to just walk away. If you're having a small hard things time, a challenging time that is a day, a week, even a month, right? Sometimes walking away and taking a break is the absolute best thing that you can do. And like I say, that's what I did. That's what I've done in 2023. And the clients that I worked with, they were great, fantastic people, and we got amazing results and all of that. But I knew for me, because of this new understanding of how my brain works, I knew that I kind of needed to change. I needed to change my marketing. I needed to change my branding. I needed to change my focus. I needed to adapt to the new me or the real me, whichever, that I've been diagnosed with and discovered. So that walking away, it's all valid. It's all okay to do it. And it's not about burning your business to the ground. It's about being really honest about the kind of business that you want and the kind of business that you need in order to be able to sustain it and keep it going and to build the life and business that you want. Because that's the point of being in business, right? Is to build the business that you want and for it to facilitate the life that you crave. Yeah, that's absolutely the point of doing it. So some practical steps for the small hard things, the smaller challenging times, like when you feel like your brain is going to explode because there's so much going on and it's like you just can't focus on anything, and you're not blooming well getting anywhere. It's very that's a really real thing with so many entrepreneurs. And the way that I deal with it, because I'm as susceptible as anyone, my ADHD autistic brain just sometimes ain't playing. And so I have to have practical ways of dealing with that. And one thing that I do is I write everything down. So whatever's in my head, I write it down. Things that I need to do, I write them down. And I write everything on Post-it notes. I do. Because if it's in an electronic version, I don't see it all the time. If I write it in notes on my phone or I put it in a file, or Trello would just awful. I can't use it. It doesn't suit me. So I use Post-it notes, and that's fine. Whatever. It's a system that works for me. There's zero judgment. It's my system. It works for me. Fine. So I write everything down that I need to do, like everything, like pay that invoice or add that to my website or send that to so-and-so. Just all that little stuff that's in my head. And that little stuff that's in your head is the kind of thing that wears you down. Yeah. But once you've written it down and got it out of your head is suddenly freer to be able to actually do some of the stuff, which is what you want to do. And if you've got, I don't know, pay that invoice, add those things to your website, collate that testimonial into a shorter, snappier screenshot, all those kind of things. If you break them down into tiny chunks as to what they are, it makes it much easier to deal with. So you're almost micro-writing this stuff down. But if you say, I don't know, achieve an extra $2,000 of income by the end of the month, that's a massive thing. Yeah. So that's going to add more to this overwhelm, to this challenging time that you're having. So if you break it down into send 3 emails, send 5 emails, write 30 Instagram posts, you've actually kind of got a tangible thing that you can achieve. So breaking everything down into really small steps will make it much easier for you. And you can almost start a page or start a Post-it note, whatever, of one thing, the bigger thing, and then the smaller steps underneath. And that will help you to see what you've achieved. And once you've done one of those things, you can cross it off. And that crossing off or deleting or however you do it is just the best feeling in the world. It's like, I have done something. I am not useless. I am a competent business owner. I can do this. And honestly, psychologically, it's massive, right? It's a massive step forward. And if you're finding that you're really overwhelmed and you feel just crushed by the kind of pressure of everything and you can't get out of it, do one thing, right? Today, I am going to pay that invoice. Today, I am going to sort that testimonial. Today, I'm going to do one post on one social media platform telling them about one offer I have. And that's it, right? And that's all you have to do for that day. And just doing that, being so kind to yourself, will actually kind of help you get through this challenging time, because all you've got to do is one thing. You can do one thing. You can do one thing no matter how tough things are. You can do one thing. And it can be a kind of passive thing like paying an invoice, right? Or something like that, or cancelling a subscription. It doesn't have to be like a sales focused thing of writing an email. Yeah, you can do the kind of passive things. They're still okay. They're still good steps forward. And then tomorrow you can do one more thing. And then, well, maybe I'll do 2 things today. And then maybe the next day you'll do 3. And before you have realized it, you've actually you've got through this, you're getting through this, and you can do stuff and you're back in a bit of a rhythm. And the key for that is the kindness to yourself, giving yourself the space that you need to deal with the mental pressure of this challenging time, right? Of this difficult time. But actually, you've organized yourself and you've organized your business and your mind by actually writing it down, committing it to be a thing. It's out of your head, and one thing a day, cross it off. Done. Bosh. Now you can go and watch telly for the rest of the day, or, I don't know, put your house on the market or whatever it is that you need to deal with, okay? One extreme to the other. But it's whatever you need to deal with, you've done one thing on your business. And it sounds like, I appreciate that you might kind of think, well, paying one invoice isn't going to move me forward. But mentally it will, because it's one thing that was in your head that was causing you to be overwhelmed and was causing the challenging time to be even more challenging. And because you've taken one thing off, it's slightly less challenging and it's slightly less overwhelming. And there's a cumulative effect of that. It's the incremental gains, right? Philosophy. You do one thing, you do one thing, you do one thing, you do one thing. Before you know, you've done 100 things and look where you are. Wow. Okay. So we're kind of out of that. We're out of that awful situation and into something that's all right. And this is exactly what I did during 2023 when I kind of was going through, my burnout, whatever it was. And looking at my business and how I needed it to kind of be for me. Yeah. And it was just, look, today you can do nothing, but tomorrow you do one thing. And tomorrow I did one thing, and then I did two things, and then I did three things. And then, come September, and it was like, whoa, whoosh, here we go. I'm going to rewrite my entire website. I'm going to relaunch all my programs. And I say, October and November, my best months for several years. So this being kind to yourself, this stepping back, this accepting stuff is challenging and just doing one little thing a day, but having written it all down, the stuff that you want to do, it works. It absolutely categorically works. And if your challenging time involves you not making enough money, I mean, that sucks, right? It's really difficult, but we've all been there. We've all been through times where the money just for some reason isn't coming in as it normally does. And there's a few practical things that you can do for that as well to get yourself out of that particular challenging time. One way to do it is to create a time-limited offer or people number limited offer, right? So you're offering 4 of a certain thing, 3 of a certain thing, 10 of a certain thing. It's at this price for the next 2 weeks, the next week. And if you create something like that, it's almost separate to your business, right? So you might almost be thinking about it differently. And this isn't about doing a big launch or anything that's like that. It's like, here's this thing. I've got 10 of them. It's £150, bosh, bosh, bosh. And that's kind of it. And then you talk about nothing else on your socials or your emails or wherever for the next week or two until it's sold or until it's run out of time. And if you do that, you will generate income. There is no two ways about it. If you sell like this, if you post, several times a day, if you talk about it on several different channels, if you include your email as well, you will sell stuff. And once you've sold 1, you'll sell 2, then you'll sell 3. And it has this cumulative effect, and you're buoyed by this. You get this kind of dopamine hit, and you get this evidence that you're doing a good thing because people are buying from you. But you need to, if you do it as a separate thing rather than, right, here are my long-term services and it's thousands of pounds to invest. That's quite when you're in a challenging financial situation, that can be quite a I don't know, what's like a disconnect between where you are and what you're selling, and you can almost feel like you don't deserve to sell that because you're in a challenging situation, which is nonsense, right? I'll just say that's nonsense. Of course, you price according to your skills and experience and what results you get for people, right? But mentally, sometimes that can be hard to kind of get yourself through. So if you create something special and sell it, you'll make money. From that will come bigger sales, bigger clients for your normal services. And suddenly, ta-da, you've had your best month ever. And that's how it works. That's absolutely how it works. Taking this practical action, small steps, practical action, thinking little, but with the goal of it being big, right, is what is going to get you through these challenging times in business and in life, quite frankly. I mean, this works for business, but it works for life too, right? So accept whatever is happening to you as a thing, right? Accept that. It's fine. Okay. This is where we are. Good. Brilliant. know that everybody else has also been through something really similar, if not twice, and accept that it's a rite of passage in business. Walk away if you need to walk away for half a day, for a week, whatever, and then get everything out of your head so that you've created yourself a kind of action plan for moving forward. And people come to me because they're at this stage, they're feeling so overwhelmed with everything and they just can't get themselves out of it. And so we work exactly on these practical steps on what they want to achieve and how to get there, being mindful of how they're feeling right now. Just because you come and work with me doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to be some kind of, mega robot who can just push and push and push. Life doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But having this focus, having this direction, and having this strategy absolutely makes a massive difference. And so if you've been inspired by what I've talked about today, then I'd love to invite you to book a mini strategy session with me, a clarity boost call. It's 30 minutes, it's £50, and it will give you the clarity, focus and direction that you might be kind of lacking at the minute in your challenging time. And it will help you get back on track with my trusted hand holding yours and being as invested in getting you there as you are. So the link's in the show notes for that. Feel free to book one, and I'd love to be able to support you on your journey. And I hope that today's session has helped you. Today's session does sound like therapy. Today's episode has helped you kind of know that when the challenging times hit, there's a way out of it. Absolutely a way out of it. And it doesn't need to be the end of everything. Absolutely doesn't. It's just a blip. You'll get through it. And the strategies that I've talked about today will be a way for you to do that. So thank you ever so much for joining me. Let me know how you're getting on. Book a quick clarity boost with me via the link in the show notes. And any questions that you've got, any comments, any feedback, drop me a message on Instagram at Libby Langley or LinkedIn. You'll find me as Libby Langley there too. So yes, together we will tackle these challenging times and we'll kick their butts. Lots of love, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure that you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there's an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Libby Langley. See you next week.